before because I forgot to set the orientation, and we should be good to go. Let me just go to my channel here on my iPad so I can actually see the comments as they come in. Looks like we are good. All right. So I didn't do a social post for this. This is just kind of a nice little ditty for those of you that not only are... Oh, whoops. What did I just crash into? Here we go. Oh, let me see. Still working on my setup here. I did all these live streams in the lounge, but I need to get a really good setup in my art studio. My art studio is my dream studio, but it's not really set up for live streams. So I'm just kind of doing this, these quick setups here for YouTube, and not only exclusively on YouTube, but for those of you that subscribe and for those of you that do the notification bell, oh my gosh, you are probably the only ones that know about this, which is great. All right. So here is kind of where we left off last time. Last time I had a 3-hour live stream. I was still going strong, and it cut off. So you didn't get to see the end of it. But for the most part, y'all saw the underpainting, and that was a grand old time. And today we are doing the overpainting. Now there is one more step that we did, that I did in between that I didn't share, and that's because I had a little bit of time. I believe last Thursday I had time to do a small step called airbrushing, and there wasn't a lot done. It took me less than 20 minutes. I didn't have time to post about it, and I just did some quick airbrushing just to soften some areas and to get in some deeper tones, and that's it. That concludes what I call the underpainting. Today we're going to do the overpainting. And listen, it's I don't know why. I'm telling you, I am not a big drinker, but whenever I live stream, I don't know, I like to crack something open. Today it is one of these Cutwater's Tiki Rum Mai Tais. Oh my gosh, delicious. Okay. What do they say? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but we got some people hanging out, including John. Hi, Matt. What is up, John? Dre Studio says, afternoon, Matt. Would you ever do an art studio tour? Absolutely. It's actually on my list of things to do studio tour. I have a couple different kinds of studios. Right now I'm in my art studio, but I have kind of a digital office, which is where I do my editing. It's where I do my digital art. I have a home theater. I have a library where I like to do my research. I have a little bit of everything. It is the dream, and it's taken me years to kind of build it that way. I was thinking of doing more professional, like edited kind of videos, but maybe live is the way to go, or maybe live is the way to do it first. That is a great idea. Hi there. Yes, cut it off last time. I see the skin tones here already. Yeah, so I did some more washes and then just a little bit of airbrush. That's probably the place where you can see it the most. Just a little bit of soft on the skin tones. Everything's a little bit darker, and today is the day where it's really going to cut and get some awesome contrast, and I can't wait to show you what I am going to do today. Can I do a quick rundown of what I did last time when the stream cut off? Yeah, it was more of the same. I don't know how much longer I went before it cut off. It might have been a good 45 minutes, but it was really just kind of deepening some of the washes. There wasn't any new colors, but I kept finding things that were a little too light. nothing too crazy. And then again, I did 20 minutes of airbrush, but it really was just softening things. The two, really the only two things I did add some tones, skin tones in the face, and then I added a little bit more of the yellow ochre, yellow oxide to the jumpsuits, or these cool members only jackets. They're a little too light, a little too yellow, and so I just did a little bit of spraying for that. The thing that's cool about the airbrush, and the whole point of doing the underpainting, just so you know, is to do what I call getting rid of the white. I don't want any absolute white anywhere, because today is where I'm going to do a lot of those highlights and bring a lot of that forward. And the fact that everything has a little bit of either overspray or washes covering that, my highlights are going to stand out really, really cool. So, a couple things that I want to begin with. This is also an opportunity, because this is the overpainting. It's an opportunity to add in any last minute washes where things didn't go dark enough or I didn't get enough coverage. It's an opportunity to steer things. So, just taking a quick peek here, I did see that, gosh, I actually see a couple things that I want to do. And my order is going to be a little out of the ordinary, now that I think of it. Here's what I'm going to do first. These laser beams have like a yellow on the bottom and white on the top, but they're not standing out as much as they should. So I'm going to fix that now. So I'm going to add what's called an opaque, and that is when it's straight out of the tube. I use these little Altoid canisters just because they're almost like little palettes. Rather than having something big, I'm usually working one color at a time, and it's just kind of easier to carry one of these. So every time I'm done with a new, and I can reuse it for a long, long time before it just gets crazy and there's too much old paint in there. But I have a brand new one here that that I'm using for demonstration purposes. Oh, and I probably need some gesso, which is probably, there we go, some gesso right here. So I like to use gesso for my absolute whites and absolute blacks. Liquitex Jello, I don't use the Basics brand because that's more of a, they call it a student grade, which is probably an insult to students, but it's cheaper, but it doesn't have as good of coverage. It is not as good, so I don't recommend. Okay, so I've got a little bit of my gesso here, and gesso is cool because it is, the consistency is a lot thinner than, like, acrylic paint is usually kind of thick. It's almost like toothpaste. But as you can see here, it's a little bit thinner, but it's also relatively opaque, meaning you can't see through it. So it's awesome for things like highlights. So what I want to do, I want to use a ruler here, any kind of ruler. I'm just grabbing the one that happens to be closest. And I just want to get some coverage. I did these red, I don't know if you can see them. I'll hold it closer to the camera. These red splotches that that I saw in the reference, like these cool textures that Bob Lindenmayer had, and I wanted to duplicate some of that. So now I've got some of it going into the lasers here, which I knew I was going to be painting over. So it's not really an accident as much as I'm just fixing what I knew had to be fixed. So I'm using a ruler. I'm lifting it up. I don't know if you can tell, I'm lifting it up here. And then I'm taking my white paint, my white on the brush, where the yellow is going to be. I don't want to see those dots. Boom. And there we go. Add another one here. Get rid of those dots. focusing mostly on the lower part of the laser because that's where the yellow is going to be. So that's what I'm concerned with. Same thing here. Very nice. And one more down here. Need to be careful of these motorcycle, or I'm sorry, the Delta Mach 4s. Is that what they are? Oh my gosh. I need a Making Megaforce fan to help me. It's a Delta Mach 4, right? Oops. Make sure I'm against this. I gotta make sure that I am against the ruler. That looks good. Sure, I can use the ruler here. Very good. These areas down here are relatively light. I was kind of painting these in before without using a ruler, and it looks like they're lining up pretty good. Not too shabby. All right, looks good. So I've got one more area here that I need to, this angle here, there's almost like a triangle here. Cool 80s shape. I need to block in. And this is just going to make everything a little bit punchier, which is nice. So this is meant to be opaque, meaning instead of being transparent like the washes, you cannot see through it, is the idea. All right, let's set this ruler down for a moment. Guess I'll just set it right here. It's gonna fall if I set it right there. All right. So now just painting in these areas, and they're not 100% opaque, and that's okay because in the cases here, these areas kind of on the ground, I don't mind because it'll add a little bit of texture and it'll just give it, you know, that's kind of the cool thing about traditional painting is it has such a humanistic quality. A lot of times every little mistake or every little thing that isn't perfect, we stress about it, but the reality is that's what gives it a humanistic quality. Those are the things like brush strokes, things like watermarks, things where the paint went and then just like you got these little spots everywhere and you didn't intend for it, before you freak out too much and say, oh no, you have to stop and ask yourself, well, hold on a second. Does it look cool? A lot of times it may be unplanned, but a lot of times it may actually look pretty cool. So, just like Bob Ross used to always say, happy accidents. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of these white, not only white opaques, but even some white washes to soften the glow on some highlights or to smooth out some highlights. But I wanted to get this down first because in those laser areas I need to do some yeller, and it'll be easier to do that with having some of those spots covered. So I need to make sure that this is super dry before I do that. Next step that I am going to move to, I'm going to get a little more coverage here, here, and there. Very good. Some of the lasers up here, and whoops, it's okay. I don't even see where I did that. I think right there. Okay. Some of these areas here, just a little bit more. Good. Just want to get rid of some of that stippling, some of that that's going on. Okay, that looks good. The laser will make that stand out. Oh, I know that this here was an issue, and that, and that, and that. That looks all right. Okay, that looks good. I did see here that I wanted this to stand out a little bit more. This edge here. So see how adding this white here, do you see that already? How that's making that stand out? Because there was some overspray. I did have some washes in there because in this reference, it's not super, super white, but there is some heavy contrast there. So I need to put that back in and bring it on down. Yeah, it's gonna look so much better. There we go. And again, because this paint is relatively opaque, but because it's not absolutely opaque, you are able to see through it a little bit. You might not be able to tell on camera, but I can definitely see it here, and it's giving the contrast that I want. That's the important thing. All right, so that looks good. That looks good. Sharpen that. That looks good. Okay. And there is a little bit more on this side of Barry Bostwick's head. Looks good, and there's a little bit in here, and that's just going to help his head stand off the page a little bit more. It's all about edges, and it's all about contrast. There's a lot of what we are trying to do here. Much better. Even a little bit back here. Nice. Might not look like much. And there are areas of his hair that need to go a lot lighter, but now there's just more edges kind of making the head come forward. Anything else I want to do right now? I want to get a little bit more of an edge here. Where else? A little bit more of an edge here. A little bit more of an edge there. So there's a couple areas in the sky that might be just a little bit, let's see, maybe a little bit here. Good. Good. Where else? There is a little bit of a nice little light in there. And then it looks like a little bit of light to help make this jagged edge stand out a little bit here. A little bit there, looks good. That looks good. This is maybe a little bit lighter here. There we go. Not against the law to use your fingers. And maybe I see, now that I see it here, this looks good, but this about here is a little bit lighter. Yeah. It's making it stand out. It's little things like this. So this is kind of why there is what's called the overpainting. Because the underpainting is just kind of getting everything in, and now is when we get to nip and tuck and just kind of take a look at it and see where it needs to go. Okay. Uh, let's see. What is the small version on the left? Great question. So this here, as mentioned on the previous live streams, this is. Oh wait, I see one thing I want to do here really quick. I want to smooth this out just a little bit. Okay. This right here is the comp, the kind of photo art comp that was put together by the director, who is Bob Lindenmayer, and he is a designer by trade. He actually works on all kinds of really cool video games, is kind of the trade that he's known for. But he put this together. He really wanted to have kind of a traditional 80s style poster artist do the art. He was really happy with the design. He happened to show it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And to me, this was like a really fun opportunity, first of all, to work with Bob. And we may have other projects that we do together in the future. And this is kind of like a favor. So now he owes me, and I may have him do maybe design a couple images, posters for me, and he may help with some visual effects if he doesn't get too busy coming up soon. But this was a great opportunity for me, even though I like to think I'm a good designer and I'm very happy with some of the, the montages that I put together. That is a lot of the work, is just getting together a good montage, figuring out your colors, all the things. And so to have something that Bob put together that already looked really cool. And by the way, this is just the art that he put together. Once it actually has the Making Megaforce logo and the tagline, it really is cool. But this is just kind of the art. So this kind of is my reference that I am working with. So I've got this version right here, but I also have a better just kind of photo comp of Bob and Barry here. Ace Hunter, Deeds Not Words. And then I also have this here for a close-up of the face. All right. So what I want to do now, I didn't get, I needed to get like a little bucket to clean my brush. Do I need to clean my brush? I do. Bear with me. Let me run and do that. Let me just wash out this brush. This will take me 15 seconds and I will be back. So these live streams are fun. I know there's something about like seeing someone paint live, and it's also cool that you can ask questions and everything. But I think a lot of times why I do more of the edited versions is I think it's the end result is really cool when I pay someone to film me, but that way there's close-ups and it's all edited to the best parts, and you can learn a lot quicker. At the same time, I see the value in kind of watching this and seeing this, because you're not missing anything and you're seeing it all happen in real time. Okay, so what I want to do now, there's a couple things before I do any more opaques. There's a couple washes that I want to do, because there are a couple places where things need to just have some deeper tones. One of which is the orange zigzag. Right now is a little light. If you look at it, the orange that I have compared to the reference, this reference is The orange is just a little bit darker, and also there's this part of the zigzag that comes out over here. Mine is a lot lighter than this one here, so I need to deepen that quite a bit. And so to do that, I'm going to grab, I've got this brush here. Actually, let me see here. That's about the same. That's not going to do much. I have a darker orange. Oh, right here. So I don't have to go anywhere. Okay. So that's a nice deep orange. These are just acrylic. It's just acrylic straight out of the tube and mixed with water. And I'm assuming this just needs one more layer. Is there anything else that needs to go a little bit more? Actually, now that I'm here and I see it, the answer is yes. That needs a little more. And this needs a little more. Better. Better, better, better. Okay, good, good. Maybe even some of this wouldn't hurt. Good. All right. Let's see. That looks good. This here could go a little darker. Good. Okay, but those zigzags though, those definitely need to go a darker orange, and it'll be easier for me to get them turning this upside down really quick. Okay. So simply adding another layer. Yep, this is just a little bit deeper orange. Nothing too crazy, but this will make a nice difference, I think. Just a little bit deeper. Right now it's wet and I can see there's a huge glare. So maybe you can't see it from the angle that the camera is, but this looks much, much better. And it also makes, I put in the spotty red, which was in the reference. I thought it was such a cool texture and such, it isn't where I would have put a red texture, a blotchy red texture, but it did look really cool what Bob had, so I definitely tried to mimic that, but it stood out a little too much with the darker red and then the lighter orange, so now this is knocking it back a little bit and it looks much better. All right, this side over here, very good. And over here is nice. Excellent. And then for sure, this is going to darken both the upper and lower zigzag. It's just a layer, so it's naturally going to make both of them a little bit darker. Just what the doctor ordered. Okay. And then I'm just curious what this will do. Everything is experimentation, or not everything, but sometimes experimenting might yield like some really cool results. I just want to see what happens if I pull some of that off. I have maybe a little bit too much of a wash. That's cool. That's actually exactly what I wanted. Maybe just a little bit here. Can I pull some off of it right there? Can I feather that back in? I can. Perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted for Christmas. All right. All right, we got some questions here. So Andy says, what type of scanner or camera do you use for digitizing your fabulous posters, especially the bigger one? These live streams are absolute gold. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It depends on what it is. I'll be honest. For the large majority of my art, I use my iPhone these days. They've just gotten so good, and it's usually enough resolution for what I need. My trick is going outside, not in the direct sunlight, but in either on an overcast day or on the shadow side of the house, so that it's in the shadows, but there's kind of an ambient light. What will happen is usually it's a little bit cool, so it's not the colors exactly, and it usually needs a little more oomph, but playing with the contrast and playing with the warmth, playing with the temperature of the colors, I usually can get it exactly how I want. For something larger like a poster, that is when a larger scanner or a professional photograph that has the light coming at the 45-degree angles, sometimes that is required. What will happen with this one? I don't know. It depends on how large Bob wants to make these posters, and I may send the original art to him. So we'll see. Uh, we'll see what happens, but I will let you know ASAP. Hey, what is up, Johnny? Oh my gosh, didn't know I was doing this. Yeah, I am. It was a surprise live stream, so thanks for hanging out. So, what is this? A band cover? No, this is an award-winning documentary. It's not out yet, but I have seen it. It's really good. It's called Making Megaforce. It's based on this really, admittedly cheesy 80s action movie it's kind of one of those movies. It's so bad it's good. It's called Megaforce. And but there's this documentary though about how the movie was made, and it's also one of the biggest fans of Megaforce kind of reliving the adventure with the star Barry Bostwick. It is such an endearing movie. I laughed all the way through. I got teary-eyed. It was heartwarming. I watched it with a friend who's a big Megaforce fan, and we just enjoyed it so much. It's winning all these awards. I think it's won at film festivals. It's won 30 awards to date and counting, with more festivals on the way. So it's just a really, really cool documentary, and I've been asked to illustrate this poster for it. And I think it's going to be released in theaters soon. Probably not a huge, huge run, but we will see where it goes. So the next thing that I'm going to do really quick, I'm going to add a little bit more yeller into a couple places here that need it. There's a little bit more here. On the motorcycle that I didn't see before. There's a little bit more here that I didn't see. And here, and here, and here. Very good. And then over here, there were some areas. There's just a little more here, a little more here, and a little more here. Mm-hmm. Just a little power yellow. Seeing where it needs to go. Good. And I did the orange. Any other yellow in there? Not really. So super helpful that I had this comp, because I'm kind of just, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Although there is one fix that or I don't know, I shouldn't call it a fix. There's one adjustment that I did, and I don't know if it was the right move or not. I'm curious what y'all think. Maybe y'all that are watching right now can maybe weigh in on this. So this is the comp that Bob put together, and when the logo and the tagline and everything was in there, I didn't think that I needed to do any changes. But then looking at the art, I kind of felt like, man, the motorcycle's getting a little lost in, because it's kind of the same colors here, kind of the same colors around it. Might be hard to see the motorcycle. And so I decided, man, having some of the blue, because there's some blue in Barry's, I believe this is his headband that's just kind of hanging down here. Ace Hunter's light blue headband. And I just thought, just to bring some of that color in here and almost have it like the sky in the background fading out. It's not done yet, so it's almost a little muddy looking right now, but once I get to the color pencil phase, I think it's going to look awesome. And I think it's not going to be too much, but it's going to stand out enough to where that motorcycle in the foreground is literally going to be giving you some zing. So maybe you shouldn't judge it too much yet, but I feel that it's going to be, for this style of original art, I think, or for traditional art, I think it's going to be the thing to do. I think it's going to be the way to go. We will see. There's one more area to add yellow, and that is the bottom part of the laser. So I already did the white, getting rid of the red splotches in those areas. So now I'm going to add some yellow. And Johnny says, oh, it's Megaforce, the unofficial G.I. Joe movie. Never seen it. I never thought of that before. It is really like the unofficial G.I. Joe movie. Gosh, why have I never heard that before? It really is kind of that. Oh my gosh, you are so right. I never thought of it that way. My gosh. My mind is blown right now. It really is. It really was an unofficial G.I. Joe movie. Gosh. I am like, I am tripping right now. That is very true. Okay. I've got my yellow wash here. I've got my ruler here. So now the lower part of these lasers, I need to add in a little bit of this yellow. There's like yellow on the bottom. It's interesting, but I'm going with what is in the art, and that looks cool. To be perfectly honest, that does look really cool. Good. More on this one here. Again, I'm holding my ruler up slightly so the ruler isn't against the board. Otherwise, the paint would seep under it and I'd have a huge catastrophe. But it's enough that it can hold the paintbrush. I can do like a straight line by going along it like so. That looks good. One more of these laserific areas. Good, good. Yeah. Boom. Need just a little bit of coverage there. Very good. A little bit of coverage there. Very good. And looks like I need a little bit here. Very good. Okay. Yeah, that looks great. All right, next up, opaques. So these are the actual opaques. Let me cover this before I make a mess. Rushton86 says, man, that looks dope. Thank you so much. I am a little over halfway complete. I am now doing, there's only 2 more steps. So there's the step today, which is the opaque painting that I'm doing. And then there's one more step after that, and that is color pencil on top of everything. So that'll be the next and final live stream. All right, so that is looking good, good, good. Okay. Just kind of cleaning off my brush here. So now I'm looking for opaques. So this is when you are working straight out of the tube. And I want to get any areas where I don't see any of the painting underneath. I'll be honest, in this particular piece, there's not a lot. I usually have more depending on the painting. A lot of times when you're doing something like sci-fi, you have like little lights and cityscapes and spaceships that have a lot of color and blinking lights and lasers and all the things. I don't have as much of that in this piece, and because I've been very particular with some of the attention to detail in what Bob put together in his comp, there's just not a lot of places I'm going to be doing that with color. There are a lot of places I'm going to be doing that with white, and I will I'll show you that as I get to it. So orange, not many places I will be adding this in, but let's take a look. Oops. So I've got orange straight out of the tube. Gosh, where do I see it? Where do I want to add it? Maybe a pinch on these rockets. Not much. And then maybe a little bit here. A little bit here. And it just kind of sharpens up some of the areas. That looks good. Not much else. Oh, there's a little bit on the back. These dune buggies are so cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just like these little pops of color and detail that aren't competing with any of the washes under them. Good. A little bit sharper there. A little bit sharper there. That looks good. All right. That may be it for the orange, not a lot. Now, I'm going to switch to yellow. And to do that, I am going to wash this brush out really quick. Give me about 20 seconds here to run over to my work sink and do that. Man, I am tripping out on this movie being the unofficial G.I. Joe movie. I am like, how did I not see this or hear of it that way? That must have been like a much talked about thing. And even the way Megaforce has like all the different characters from different countries and stuff like that, with different specialties. I mean, it's not exactly G.I. Joe, but there are some huge similarities. I don't remember. I was a kid during that time, but and I do remember I had seen it on cable. I've seen it recently, the movie, and obviously I've seen the documentary. So I've seen both. But I just had never heard that about it before. That is so interesting. Okay, now it's time for opaque yellow. So I've got my yeller straight out of the tube. And the good news is acrylic is the cheapest paint there is. It's literally just plastic. Liquitex is the most expensive of the acrylic brand. It's the best stuff, but it's still pretty cheap. So I usually recommend not skimping and just get the Liquitex. Also, they have a brand or a version called Basics, which is like their student grade. I usually suggest avoiding that because it's harder to get, especially in cases like this, when you're trying to paint opaquely. It's harder to see. Or I'm sorry, it's harder to have it so that you can't see through it. All right, so now I'm just looking for the little bits of absolute yeller. There's not a lot, but there are some areas here and there where it's unmistakably yeller. One area that I can see is on the patch up here. Good. Maybe a little bit here. And then maybe a little bit there. Where else? Maybe some here. Here and here. Good. Good. Just areas where I see blazing yeller. Good. Good. Anywhere else? Not a lot. Not a lot. I don't want to get too crazy with it and have it be too colorful. Oh, there is this nice little, whatever that is. Good. This edge here, a little bit brighter. And this might help with the explosion a little bit, or whatever this is supposed to be in the background. Good. Just kind of helps the mighty glow a little bit more. That's cool. Hope the vehicles stand out a little bit. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. This is fun. I can't wait for y'all to see this documentary. Uh, Curious to know your take on how much detail is actually too much. I feel your style strikes that perfect balance between realism and the vibe idea. Thank you. What a great question. Because there is I don't know about it, and you actually put that question perfectly, because for some styles crazy realism is the way to go, and that can be a cool thing. This style, though, it leans a little bit more into what's called indication, and it's kind of cool because it gives a little bit more of a suggestion in certain places. and it does have a sense of realism, but at the same time, there is a thing as too much, and then sometimes it gets weird because you'll have some areas that look super realistic and some areas that don't, and then when there's a weird kind of difference between them, sometimes you get some odd, uncanny valley situations happening. So it definitely is. There is kind of you want to have an eye for it for sure. What I would say is, um, okay, I can tell you exactly what it is that I'm looking for. I am looking to try to make it look like, of course, I'm trying to make it look like the photo, but what I'm really focused on, it isn't just hyper realism. I'm focusing on the principles of really good drawing and really good design. And so I can tell you what it is, and this is in some of my other videos. If you go and explore, I show examples of this and kind of get more into the science of it. There's a video that I have, if you look up, oh, it's called something like the three secrets of good illustration. And so you see this across all styles of illustration. And there's three things. One is just simply good design. The other is really good examples of contrast. So you've got really good lights, really good darks, really good tones in between. And then the other, this isn't talked about as much, but this is something that I absolutely focus on, and it's something that I observe, and that is edges. And edges are so important. There's two kinds of edges. One is your hard edges, the other is your soft edges. If you have all hard edges, that doesn't look good. And if you have all soft edges, that doesn't look good either. But when you have a blend, it's just so much more pleasing to the eye. By the way, that's kind of what I'm doing today, because I had kind of washes everywhere, and especially the airbrush softening everything. What I started with earlier today was a painting that was way too soft, way too many soft edges. And so now I'm going back in and I am chiseling out a lot of these colors and a lot of these edges. And it's just going to make it a lot more punchy. And that is, for me, that is the secret. I am going to wash out this brush because the next step is I am going to do some light washes, pulling out some of the lights, getting a little bit soft with it. And this is going to be really cool. This is going to make some of the areas look a little bit more three-dimensional. And then last but not least, I'm going to do some really cool razor highlights. And then my overpainting will be done. So I got kind of two more steps. Let me wash out this brush because I've got opaque yellow in it right now. So bear with me. Curious, how long have we been rolling for? Oh, a little over an hour. All right. Not too shabby. So the next step that I am going to do is white washes. The cool thing about white washes is because it's transparent, and I know a lot of this process is usually I'm focusing on opaques, but the cool thing about white washes is it's not so much white, it is white, but what it does, because you can see through it, it actually takes whatever color is underneath and it makes it lighter. So I don't really think of it as white. I think of it as whatever's underneath. I mean, yeah, it is like a transparent white, but it's transparent with what is underneath. And so it's literally whatever color is under that, but lighter. And so that's why this is such a cool process. to kind of do it in this order, but it only works if you watch the previous live streams where I was working on this. It only works if you have coverage and you do what I called getting rid of the white. All right, so let me take a look at my reference here. And oh, I actually see that's supposed to, I'll fix that later. This is part of the making Megaforce patch over here. Okay. So I'm looking at areas in the ear over here. There's a little bit of light, a little bit of light, light, and light. And this looks a little bit bright now, but it won't look as bright later when it dries. I think the way the light is right now in here, I think it's putting a glare. Speaking of glare, it's kind of hard for me to see what's going on here. Good. Cool. Getting some of the highlights in the hair. And this isn't, again, this isn't absolute white. This is transparent. I am going to go again and get more of those lights that are a little bit harsher, a little bit brighter. All right, looks good. Little highlight here. Little highlight here on the cheek. Some nice highlights on the nose here. Nice light over here, above the mouth. Cool, looks good. Catching a little light here. Excellent. In the background here, there's the area in the back here. It's not absolute white, but it is a lot lighter. So I'm going to put this wash here to help separate. That's perfect. A lot of this is going to be straight up light out of the tube. There's some nice little highlights. Boom, 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 boom. Excellent. Little highlights here. Very good. Okay. Excellent. And there's a lot of crazy little highlights on the motorcycle. Good. Let's see. Nice highlights here on, I assume that's like the gas tank, the top of that. Very cool. And then there's some really cool highlights going around the tire. That's going to help the tire to stand out. Already you can kind of see that, right? How much that's helping to make the tire stand out. And the reason it works so well, again, a lot of times when people do paintings, they'll kind of have this white canvas and then all the highlights, they just leave. But the problem is if you don't get coverage everywhere, you get these little areas where the colors don't match up perfectly or they don't line up perfectly when you're doing your painting, and you get these little white dots that where the paint didn't really connect all the way. So the problem is they look like highlights when once you scan the painting or even just look at the finished painting in person, it it just doesn't it it ends up kind of flattening everything, and it almost puts highlights everywhere in weird places. It's almost like a Twilight vampire where their face is just glistening. Doesn't really make sense. So the cool thing about doing it this way is you have absolute control of where those highlights are and where they aren't. Looks good. That looks good. There's a little bit, there's like a razor highlight. Something like that. Some cool highlights on the boots. There's some nice highlights on the top part of this jacket. Very nice. Oh, I need to put in some highlights on this members only jacket here. Yeah. Oops. Good. 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 Excellent. Just little bits of highlight. Right now, I'm looking at the screen right now. I have my iPad set up right over here. Um, so I can see this. There's a slight delay, but I can see what's going on. These highlights look way brighter. As they dry, they won't be this bright. They look super bright because there's a glare coming over here. It's putting a glare right into the camera. It does not look that bright. You can maybe see that as they are drying. Let's see, looking at my reference. Cool, cool, cool. Good. Good. Okay, back to the motorcycle here. The helmet, there are some highlights on here. A lot of these are really going to be, when we put in the bright highlights, they're really going to stand out. It's going to be cool. Looks good. Little highlight there. Good. That'll be pretty bright. Good. Little highlight on the glove there. Uh, David VR says, can't say, got to work on deadline stuff. Go read my book, Mercer. Just wanted to say congrats on 100,000. Thank you so much, David. I really, really appreciate it. Man, it's been 20 years, and I'm kind of glad about that because there are a lot of people that get viral really quick and they get the silver play button very quickly, but then how do they stay viral? And that leads to other issues. And then rather than being a one-hit wonder, I mean, it's taken me 20 years, but slow and steady wins the race, and I'm grateful for it actually, that it's taken as long as it did. I feel like I maybe appreciate it more, and it definitely feels like a really cool accomplishment. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you that have watched the videos over the years. I can say it really does help when you like and you leave comments, and obviously subscribe and notification bell and all the things. It is super helpful. And if you want to see more content like this, or like the stuff that I do, that's the stuff that really helps. And it's super, super appreciated. All right, so this looks good here. There's little highlights here and there. Bing. I don't even know what a lot of this stuff is, but it looks cool. Good, good. Cool, cool. All right, so I got some cool, the dust that's getting kicked up over here. All right, so now I've got some highlights. Oh, I gotta get highlights on Barry Bostwick's face. His hair gets a lot lighter here. Pretty light areas here. There's some light areas here, some highlights. Kind of help everything stand out. Looks good. This movie is great. The documentary and Megaforce. Again, it's one of those situations where it's almost so bad that it is really good. Almost like The Room with Tommy Wiseau. Excellent, good. All right. Lovingly crafted detail, the methodical hard work and craft that goes into this is something to behold. Very cool. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And each step of the way, it's getting more and more contrast, more and more edge control. It's getting there. Let's see. The hair here stands out a lot better. Looks good. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be cool. It's official. I'm excited about this piece. And there's still a lot more to do. The final step will be color pencils. The good guys always win, even in the 80s. Hmm. Highlight on the wrist, on the jacket here. Very good. Little highlights on the buttons. I'll be going with a lot of these buttons. I'll for sure be using a more opaque white to really make them pop, but this will help too. And each little step, these little highlights don't seem like they're much, but along the way it all it all comes together, and it just separates edges, and it just adds a little bit more of a 3D effect. Each little bit helps. Each little bit helps. Um, you know, there's a little bit of a highlight here. And then a little bit of one here and here. Okay. Good. Good. All right. Some areas here, just getting some nice highlights in the dune buggies. The bright areas will really help them pop. But for now, this is helping too. Looking good. Anything that needs to go lighter, you know what I would say? So this is helping. This is looking great. It's getting there. Now I'm looking for any other areas that just need to go a little bit lighter. Any areas perhaps in the sky. I am seeing some areas here that could maybe just use a little bit of this. Maybe a little bit here. Not a lot, but a little. This pink down here I went a little crazy with. So I'm going to just give that a once over here. Just tone that back a little bit. I think there's some text that goes over that too, so I may have been a little crazy with that. Knock that back. Otherwise, that's looking good. That's looking good. Okay. Anything else in the sky that maybe needs to go a little lighter? Could maybe add a little bit of this. This just looks a little bit darker than I think it is in there. Okay. Maybe this could go a little bit lighter. Good. That looks good. A little bit of separation there. Okay. This is looking cool. Yeah, this is looking good. I'm happy with where it's going. This could maybe go a little later now that I see how this dried. Otherwise, that is looking pretty rad. I would say the next and final step for this part of the process is my opaque white. So I'm going to rinse out this brush and then I am going to move to the opaques. And this is when everything really starts to pop. There is still a final process that I do that does take some time, but what I'm about to show you is really when we get some really cool zing, zam, zoom. So somewhere here, there it is. Put my cap on. Very good. Cheers. That is delicious. I see that my iPad is down to 37. I can't see my phone, which is recording. It's still going. It's been an hour and a half. I wasn't on full battery. We'll see how long it goes. I'm just washing this brush out really quick. Give me 15 seconds. This is looking cool. This painting is getting more and more chiseled out. So the next and final step is just absolute white. Any areas that need just a little more zing. I'm going to do those lasers first, I think, even though normally I start from the top and the left because I'm right-handed and I don't want to like move across anything. I normally start at the top, kind of work my way down like so anytime I'm painting anything. But I want to get these lasers over here, and the reason why is because as I'm working with opaque paint, it kind of starts to dry, and the more dry it gets, the clumpier it gets. These lasers need to just have a really nice sharp edge, so I'm going to do those first and hopefully not track over them when I move back over here. All right, so first I am going to put a little bit of gesso in my tray. I've got my little detail brush here, and I'm going to go ahead whoops. I'm going to go ahead and lock in some of these lasers. Perfect. A little bit more here for this laserific laser. And perfect. Not too shabby. This might take two because it's a little bit thicker of a laser. Good. Excellent. Just get this edge a little bit better. Good. And then one more. The way these lasers tie in with the logo that's put on here is really cool. I can't wait for y'all to see the finished product. It really is just a really well designed poster, but that includes the logo and the type. That is the finished product. This is the artwork underneath, but the end result is kind of a combination of all of it. And that's the best, because otherwise it's just a logo that's on top of the artwork, and in some cases, like, I don't know if you could say ruining the artwork, but it really the poster should be the combo. You're really thinking about all of it. Good. Boom. Yes. Awesome. I'm very happy with that. Okay. So now while this is still trying, hopefully I can move over to this side and not have any catastrophes. We'll see. We shall see. All right, let's rock some of these chiseled highlights. And we will start with Bob. And I'm going to look closely here at his ear. There is a really nice highlight chiseled right there. A little bit there. Nothing too crazy. And then he's got sideburns here. Nice. Excellent. Good. It doesn't get too bright until about here. And it just really helps that I have controlled, I call it controlling my whites, that I got rid of the white when I was initially putting down all of these washes. And that is just super helpful. Because now my super white highlights, they're only in the places that I'm putting them, and that is really what is kind of helping maximize the 3D aspects. I'm doing this thing now where I paint in the highlight, but sometimes it's a little too bright, so I just take my finger and I just dab it. I'm just pulling a little bit of it away so it isn't too much. And honestly, that looks good. Maybe there's a little bit more right here, but not a lot. Not a lot. All right, anything on the jacket? And I need to take a look at this reference here. This is the only one where I can see the zipper over here, and I do see a little bit of cool highlight happening. A little bit here, bing, bing, and then right there. Maybe right there. Okay, good. Good. Moving back to the reference here, there is just a pin highlight here, little ditty there. That looks good. And onto the motorcycle. Onto the motorcycle. Yeah, let's go. So this is going to be great. These are really going to help make the motorcycle look geometric and three-dimensional. Yeah. Cool. Yep, and I got this here. That looks good. Good. This is pretty easy. This is almost like the opposite of the very first step that I did. Once I had my underdrawing, the very first step that I did for painting, the painting process, was my darkest darks. Now that I'm at the very tail end of this painting, again, there's color pencils, but in terms of just the actual paint, now it's the opposite. And now I'm doing the brightest brights, the whitest whites, and it's kind of come full circle. Started with the darkest darks, and now the brightest brights. How wild is that it kind of comes full circle? Never really thought about that until just now as I'm kind of saying it. That helps that make it look a little more chiseled. Good. Excellent. So I'm just going in, I'm looking for any areas that are absolute bright. So now I've got the tire, and the tire, not all of these are absolute white. So I'm just kind of cherry picking the areas that are a little bit stronger. A couple of them down here. And then randomly a couple over here. Very good. All right. Good. And now this whole area. Excellent. Good. All right, the brightest areas here. So I want to pick and choose. I don't want to just hit everywhere with absolute white. I'm really just looking for the little chiseled hot spots where it is in fact absolute white. Very good. This is really going to help the helmet to stand out. There's some really cool brights happening. how did I not think of Megaforce being an unofficial G.I. Joe movie? That is wild. It is tripping me out now that you said that, Johnny, if you're still here. I am just tripping out about it. All these intricate little highlights, and it's just going to help make everything look even more three-dimensional. Razor sharp details. And I don't want to get too crazy with it. I don't want to, you don't want to just like go crazy and like, oh my gosh, wait. You're really looking for the absolute white. And sometimes what makes this look so cool is not just it's not just where you put the brights, it's where you don't. That really kind of make it stand out. You absolutely want to be selective of where you do and don't. There is such a thing as too much. Too many highlights. These areas back here are really helping to chisel out the back part of the Delta Mach 4. And this is really going to help make everything stand out. Good and good. Bing, bang, bong. Good. Okay. Good. be very selective on the highlights on the wheel that are super, super bright. Good. Couple here. All right, very good. Oh, might have been too much on that one. There we go, that's better. Okay. All right. Now moving over to Barry Bostwick. Let's go. We're nearing the end of this part of the process. Let's get some cool bright highlights going in Barry's hair and beard. Got my reference here. Okay, looks good. That helps. Excellent. And this is cool because it's really going to help make it look not just three-dimensional, but actually make it look kind of slicked back. You know, he's probably got some mousse in his hair, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't have hair anymore, so I don't like know all the cool stuff like mousse and hair product. I used to. I used to be so into it back in the 80s. Back when I had hair, I was into hair bands and all the it was the style, it was the fashion, it was fun. And then I'm a little bit follically challenged, so those days are over. I'm fine with it. It's actually nice. It's less to do, more manageable, less time spent on the noggin. I'm fine with it. Pretty cool. Yeah, from the so from the angle you guys see this, they look way brighter, but now when I turn it like this, probably those highlights do not look, whoops, those highlights do not look as bright. I'm assuming, kind of. I think the camera is adding more contrast than is really there. And I still have colored pencils to go to get some really fun details. Let's see here. Okay. Good. Now I'm looking for just the brightest highlights in the mustache, not as much. The lip, not as much. It was pretty good. That's good. That's good. Bing, bang, bong. Here's his America patch here. good. A little bit more with the buggies. Don't want to go too crazy with them, but I am looking for specific highlights. Nice one here. There's two here. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. That looks good. That looks good. That looks cool. Yeah, every little bit helps. Every little bit makes it stand out. There's like these cool radars and stuff that they had in the movie. Every little bit helps. All right, cool little details on the bikes, the helmets. Looks good. I'm into it. I can hear my son upstairs. He woke up from his nap. And perfect timing. That way I can run up and help my wife with the little guy. It's been so fun being a dad. I'm kind of an older dad. I waited later in life to have a kid, and I feel like I am going to be. My dad was great. I'm when I say this, it almost sounds like I'm trying to make up for my childhood. I had an incredible childhood, and just I still to this day I'm very lucky. My dad is still with me. He's awesome, but for me, I just wasn't ready, and I needed to get some things together with my career and also just like mentally and stuff. I needed to. I just wasn't ready to be a dad. I always wanted to be. Nice little hot spot there. Bing, bing, bing. Nice. All right. That looks good. This can go a little brighter. Nice. This up here. A little brighter, a little brighter. A little brighter. All right. I am digging it. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. I say very cool. Um, I'm not saying it because I necessarily like I think I'm amazing or my art's cool. I think this design that Bob put together is very cool, and so I'm happy to kind of be emulating that, but at the same time, I'm kind of putting my own spin on it. Uh, so that it's also my own, so to speak. So here we go. This is the next step. And I don't know if you can tell as much. I will be posting on my Instagram once it's complete. And perhaps once Bob releases this, like kind of what the end result looks like, I'll wait for him to do that. And then I will share kind of a step by step. And sometimes it's cool. I mean, I know some of you appreciate the live streams, which is awesome. And you get to see in real time how these are put together. I just realized I needed to do a highlight on the nose that I forgot. Excellent. Just a little more on the lip. Excellent. What about over here? Anything? A little bit. Just a little bit more there. A little bit more there. Maybe there. There. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. There is a lot more to go, and that is color pencil. But right now we've got some better edges from what it looked like before. The motorcycle is standing out more. Their faces are standing out more. Their hair is standing out more. The lasers are standing out more. The vehicles are standing out a little bit more. It's got a nice blend of soft edges and hard edges. I'm digging it. Oh, but there's more, and that'll be the final step, which is the color pencils. Let's see my timeline. What am I thinking for that? I am going to try to do it soon, like maybe even Tuesday evening. Don't hold me to that, but I'm thinking Tuesday evening is what I'm looking at. Oh, I just realized I keep seeing things. There's a nice hot spot here. A nice hot spot here. Don't want to miss those hot spots. Yeah, I think that's it. Nice. All right, it's getting closer and closer. Cannot wait to show you or to complete it. It's getting there. It's got a little bit more. I can see some areas it needs to steer, but color pencil is going to help achieve that. All right, gang, rock and roll. Be good to one another. And I look forward to hanging out with you. Maybe Tuesday night is where we will be next. Thank you for hanging out. And I look forward to doing more with you guys come that Tuesday. Bye. See ya. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you so much for checking it out. Hasta la Winnebago.